Good evening, friends. Welcome to Newspaper Analysis Townhall. So today we are going to discuss this article, Judicial Sensitivity to Sentiments is a Sign of Regression. This article is written by Sanjay Hegde, and this article is mostly talking about liberty and what is the role of judiciary in protecting liberty. So let us first try to understand what liberty means. This is also important. This has been asked in prelims examination twice. Who is this man? So the person is John Stuart Mill. He has been a foremost thinker on liberty, and this is his seminal work on liberty written in 1859, in which he defines liberty as the freedom of individual to think, express, and act. Now it throws a question: can I express anything? Can I act like a lunatic? Is this also a liberty? Obviously, let us try to understand what Stuart Mill meant by liberty in such context. So Stuart Mill also gave a harm principle. So the harm principle is that individuals should be free to act as long as their action do not harm others. And what does harm actually mean? This is the crux of discussion. So this article here is also discussing what does harm mean and how this definition of harm is being changed by courts of India. So the harm, according to John Stuart Mill, meant that action that directly infringe upon the rights or well-beings of other. It means that it directly harm any other person. Now let us try to understand what harm does not mean. It does not include actions that may just offend or disapprove of others. It means that if I am saying something that somebody doesn't like, it does not fall under category of harm. It means I cannot be stopped to express such ideas according to John Stuart Mill. I can only be stopped when I am doing any direct harm to another person. So this is the harm principle. According to Stuart Mill, society benefits from open exchange of ideas. Why? Because society is a marketplace of ideas. Through ideas, society refines itself. John Stuart Mill believed that even if ideas are false or offensive, it should not be suppressed. It should not be suppressed. Why? Because it may contain some element of truth. We can still learn from it. It is always good to have clash of ideas. That is how society plus individual evolve. Now, our constitution also incorporated the ideas of Mill. According to Article 19, 1 Clause A, it guarantees freedom of speech and expression. But like Mill's harm principle, it also allows for reasonable restrictions. Reasonable restrictions on account of sovereignty, integrity of India, and there are other criteria also. Now, the purpose of these restrictions is to prevent real harm to society or state. The purpose is not to protect the sentiment. We cannot stop somebody from saying something so that other person can feel good. We can only stop someone when the person is doing real harm. Now, what are the concerns raised in this article? Let us see that judicial shift from defending liberty to defending sentiment. Now, this article has given multiple examples. For example, this is the example of Kamal Hassan, when Kamal Hassan being asked to apologize to the sentiment of masses. Now, judiciary is asking a person to apologize. According to the writer of this article, it is not the job of judiciary. Now, there is another example where a person has been, arrested for criticizing Prime Minister. There are other examples as well in this article. There is example of a Professor Ali Khan, Mahmoodabad, who was arrested for sharing his critical view during the Operation Sindoor. And there is also example of Ranbir Labadia. Now let us try to understand what are the concerns. Concern is that judiciary has been shifting from defending liberty to defending sentiment. Now, judiciary is more concerned about the sentiment of masses rather than individual liberty or the liberty of person. Now, freedom of expression is being conditioned on social approval. Just like judiciary asked an actor, Kamal Hassan, to apologize. It means that judiciary is also working on the principle of social approval. Third, there are legal tools like FIRs are being lodged against people who tweet their opinions, for people who just give their views in the form of sarcasm. So these are the concerns raised by author. Now, Nani Palkiwala, he has said, a very important constitutional expert, that freedom is not a gift from state, but a right of an individual. Once surrendered, it is seldom regained. Now, what courts should do? Speech should be protected unless it cause direct legal harm, as we have discussed. Apologies should be voluntary. It should not be judicially demanded. Now, there are some definitions that I want to explain to you. Chilling effect. What is this? Discouragement of legitimate expression due to the fear of consequence. Just think, sometime in your home, you are afraid to say something that is right because you know that there would be a backlash. So it is something like that only. When there is a backlash, there is a fear of backlash from the society or from a state, then people do not express their legitimate expression. It is a very dangerous state for a society or democracy. In democracy, dissent is a safety valve. It is something that protects democracy, as we can see through the example of our freedom struggle. Our freedom struggle is based on this principle of dissent. Now, there is another example, there is another definition, counter-majoritarian principle. Now, judiciary responsibility to protect individual rights even when public opinion is against it. So, majoritarian is what? Majoritarianism is public opinion. But judiciary should be counter-majoritarian. It means that judiciary should work according to law, not what majority of people think whether something is right or wrong. So there is other recommendation that court must acknowledge this chilling effect and court must do things so that general people are not afraid of expressing themselves. Now, return to judiciary's role as counter-majoritarian institution, which actually protect the dissent, not dilute it. So this is the crux of today's article. Today's article is more or less based on the ideas of John Stuart Mill. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any question, you can just write down in comments.